Hey, welcome to the DuckHill workshop. I'm super glad you're here because we have a really important topic. Tool maintenance. If you don't take care of your tools or sharpen the knives in your planer or change the knives in your planer, they will often fail you at a critical moment when you need them most. Don't ask me how I know. So, as an example, this beautiful Dewalt DW735 planer, it's the 13-inch lunchbox planer. It is the biggest tabletop planer I believe you can get before you step up to a 15-inch, like a Grizzly or a Powermatic or something, which obviously becomes a much larger tool. This has been a really awesome planer for me. I've had it almost 4 years, I think. And what I realized today, I've never changed the knives. Now, especially because I've been planing a ton of slab material, big, heavy, thick stock lately. I'm finishing up these floating shelves for Dustin and Lauren. I processed a bunch of slabs from our first round of milling that Megan and I did for the very first time ever. So I'm starting to move through some of that material. And I just realized I've had this since my basement shop in Platteville and never changed the knives. That became apparent today because after flattening this giant slab with my router jig this morning, I went to thickness plane, take all the marks out and get it all nice and pretty. And I bogged it down 3 times, I wasn't making heavy cuts. I was making full width cuts, but not heavy cuts. So, anyways, how to plane this down, or how to change the blades in here. The cool thing is that the blades are reversible. So when you buy the kit for this, A, you essentially get an extra set of blades when you buy them. B, I believe the kit comes with an extra set of blades. So I've got essentially 2 more blades sitting in the storage, but we're just going to turn these around. Caveat, personal experience, these blades chip almost immediately and start leaving marks in your work. I haven't been bothered by that because usually just running your block plane over it takes out those little ridges really quick and then you can sand the rest. I haven't ever tried them, but I've heard that Amana Tools, or is it Infinity? I can't remember, makes carbide tipped straight knives for these. Not the helical cutter head, but carbide straight knives. So, might be worth the upgrade. I think they're like 250 bucks. I don't have them yet. So, cool thing. DeWalt gives you the tool to open this up. These are captive nuts. They don't go anywhere. Don't be worried about losing them. I wiped down that slab with mineral spirits while I was after sanding it for the first round. It's strong in here. All right, so that's off. I'm gonna move you around. Okay, the next step is to take out these 3 red screws. They're easy to take out. I've already had the fun of recently opening this up because my dust collector, my chip collector, was jammed up a while back. I couldn't figure out why it was just blowing chips down underneath and getting jammed up. And yeah, when I opened it up, this whole thing was plugged full of shavings. Oh, I have a little inchworm friend. All right, you can't see this, but on here it does say open and close, which means like it has a certain position so you want to rotate it up before you slide it out. Here, I'll show you that. Open, close. And it's because it's got a couple locating tabs. And you slide her in place. Set that aside. Careful with that, the plastic's not super awesome. And we're gonna move again because I don't think you can see the knives very well. Okay, 1. I should have pointed this out before, but you know, goes without saying, make sure that your power is not plugged in because you're gonna be sticking your fingers into the knives. So no power. 2. let's see, can you see that? Over here on this side, on the left-hand side, this way, is a little release. So right now, without it, if it catches, it won't turn. So you push this down, and that will allow you to turn the knives however you need them. Ooh. And be careful, those are still sharp. It is the same size. I'm guessing, I think that's like a T30. Torx, there are, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8. There are 8 screws here. Go ahead and break those free by hand. I personally think that it's a waste of time to use a drill or an impact to thread these out. If you decide that you want to thread them out with or unscrew or screw them in with an impact, just be sure to start them by hand, because if you try to start it with the impact or the whatever drill, you could run the risk of cross-threading them when you start them. Well, you start them by hand, at least that way you won't have any issues. All right, 8 screws are out. That was a good job. This handle also has a magnet, 2 magnets, so just lift that up and out of place. Do the same thing with the knife. And you can see, like, that edge is pretty beat up. I'm just gonna turn that around. It's a strong magnet. And there are little two locating tabs, but there's some side-to-side movement, so I'm trying to see. Well, it doesn't really seem to matter. You'll see that the blade holder has a little stamped one. This is a stamped piece of steel, but it's got the back edge sits down lower than the blade. Let's drop that back on. Set the outside 2 in, take any shift and slop out of it. We'll just put the rest back. All right. 1 blade down, we'll do it 3 more times. It's the same each time. So if you want to watch that, great. We'll just go through it really, really fast. Otherwise, you can skip. I'll put a link, however many minutes or seconds it is, to skip ahead to just putting everything back together. But it's the reverse of taking everything off. So at this point, if you want to be done watching, be my guest. Go change your blades. Alright, and since we're in here, we might as well just give her a little. All right, so there it is. Blades changed, rotated, whatever. But I just can't stress the importance enough of maintaining your tools before you need to maintain them. Whether that means setting up some kind of schedule, checking them every month, every 6 weeks, what have you, whatever makes sense for you. Don't go 4 years without changing your planer blades. Until next time.